Oops. All right, let me just check that everything is working. And there we go. I see that we are starting to have some people come in. All right, perfect. Then let's slowly but surely get started. I will check in the meantime if all the platforms are actually live and working, but it looks good so far. So I think we're actually in the right spot. Exactly. I can see it here as well. That's good. And I should be able to also see all the comments. Perfect. Okay. So, sixth monthly onocoy recap and AMA. And I have some familiar faces with me today. Lucy, I can see already the comments. It's been asked where Lucy is. Lucy is on well-deserved holidays, so she won't be here. You have to take yeah, you have to accept us here. I think similar to the last time. But yeah, Lucy will come back. She's not gone. She's just on holidays, and we wanted to give her the free time that she deserved very well. So no harm there. Right. So I'd say we get kind of started. For everybody who's joining in, thank you very much. Make sure to interact with the spaces. You can comment, you can chat, you can basically do everything that you want. Of course, we want as many people as possible to join us. Because yeah, we want to make sure that we spread the word. We want to make sure that everybody is aware about what's going on, what has been happening, and also what will happen in the next couple of weeks and months. And we want to share that today. So for everybody who's joining for the first time, let me roughly explain the format. So basically what we do is we defined different topics that happened in the last couple of weeks or that will happen in the next few weeks, right? So we will be talking obviously about progress on the TGE. We will be talking about commercial topics. We will be talking about events that come up, product adjustments, all these kind of things. And the basic format about this is that we split the topics into the different key areas, and it's not just that we talk, but we want you guys to also participate in it, right? Because also it's called an AMA. So please feel free to drop your questions in the chat. Of course, ideally during when we talk about a certain topic, but don't worry, we will not lose it, or at least not try to lose it. I think the last couple of times it worked pretty well. Yeah, then we will try to answer your questions as good as possible. So if you have questions, drop them in the chat at any point in time. I will try to scan them and then mention them at the right point in time. If you have a question that isn't related to anything that we have been talking about, so it doesn't really fit in, we will answer it at the end, right? So towards the end, typically there's like 2 or 3 more questions that come up, and then we will have at the end a little session. We typically have this session run for a total of about 1 hour. So lean back, get a coffee, enjoy listening to us, hopefully, and get in the good news and the good updates. And yeah, before we actually go into the topics itself, maybe a short intro about first myself, then maybe Daniel, you can say something, and then Tommy. I am Dominic, or as it calls here, VLVT. I support onocoy on marketing and communications and have been with the project for a long time. And I have the pleasure of hosting these AMA and recap sessions. And yeah, looking forward to this one today. And Daniel, maybe you can say a couple of words about yourself.
Sure. Daniel Ammann, I'm the initiator of the onocoy project. Started with that a good 3 years ago, but I have a long history in the satellite navigation space. I did the first startup in 1997, which IPO'd in 2007, which reached unicorn status later on, where we did the hardware side of GPS. And what we're now doing at onocoy is the services side in order to improve the precision. My role at onocoy is twofold. On the one hand, I'm the overall responsible for the strategic direction of the project. I'm the president of the association, so the highest body in our organization. But I'm also technical, so parts of the system as it runs, I'm contributing to that together with the team, and I'm giving the direction also on that side.
All right, Tommy, you're up.
Tommy or Thomas, baptized Thomas, but within the team, typically go for Tommy. I'm also a veteran from the GNSS industry. I joined the small startup Daniel founded very soon after it was set up. Have been there for years, was responsible for marketing, products, product management, and a few other topics, and joined onocoy from the very beginning. So I'm co-founder. I'm more managing many of the operational topics, coordinating, so looking after sort of the operational unit within onocoy, and in that sense I'm a bit all over the place. But the one thing I'm certainly not doing is I'm not writing a single line of code, and that's probably better so, even though I have a history of software engineering, well, God knows, many years ago.
Okay, that's fine. Well, then let's go a little bit into the topics. As already kind of teased, we have different areas. We will be talking about the upcoming TGE. If you follow us on our socials, you hopefully saw it. You hopefully interacted with it. You gave it a like, you gave it a reply. If you haven't done that yet, please do that, because this helps us spread the word about it. And we, of course, want as many eyes on this as possible. We will be talking about the white paper and tokenomics, because there has been some updates, and we will very soon share them publicly. And Tommy will already give a kind of sneak peek. That's another reason, by the way, to join these sessions, because we usually give some sort of sneak peeks and information that you don't already have seen everywhere. We will be talking about the commercial progress, the relaunch of the website, and also some of our events where we will be available, or where we will be going to, different people from the team attending different events in the next couple of days and weeks. So this is the rough overview on the topics. Of course, as said, ask your questions anytime, and then we try to answer them at the suitable point in time. Now, starting with the big one. Tommy, what is the status of the token launch and the TGE update? What's happening?
I think I mentioned during the last AMA that the train has left the station, and I can confirm it has properly left the station, and it's gaining speed. It keeps us busy. There's a lot to be done, but we're well underway. We have done all the regulatory stuff, so we have now a legal opinion formally stating that we are a utility token. And for those having been on the AMAs very early this year or last year, heard that we had to do a minor change on the tokenomics. It's accepted as expected, and that's a green light there. So we have lawyer's approval, very important. We're updating the white paper. I covered that a bit later. It's probably gone live this afternoon, but if not, then it will be in the coming days. It's a minor update, but we need to adjust all these formalities and describe it. We're preparing the conversion tools for Bono to Ono conversions. That the concept has been worked out. Just as a snippet before we go into a full explanation in the coming days and weeks. But what we do is we set aside a pool of tokens, Ono tokens, that exceeds 8 times the number of bonus issued until TGE. So we create a large pool, and this pool is reserved for this conversion. The pool will be released gradually. There is an initial chunk released on TGE, and it's a bit like a halving schedule that more and more tokens get released, And then at the time you want to convert, you go to a simple website, enter your wallet address, tell the website or the portal how many of your bonus you want to convert, say the percentage, and those will then be converted. And the ratio is given by the released onos divided by the circulating supply of bono. As we release more and more owners over time, that means it gets more and more favorable to you. And there's an even more important aspect. Some will go early, they get a fair deal, but those tokens that stay in a pool will not be lost, so they accumulate, and the latecomers will get an extremely attractive rate. So 8x is what we guarantee that we put into the tool, but those with patience, they can get much, much more. In our simulation, that can be, depending on how people behave, 30, 40x. So it's an attractive system. Why have we done it this way? Well, obviously, we have created a large community of miners. They have already invested. We want to give them the opportunity to choose the date they convert. Some need the money, others can really wait. Those with patience shall be extra rewarded because that reduces the sell pressure on the Ono exchange, on the DEX, and that's in everybody's interest. That's in miners' interest, that's in the project's interest. So we've created a tool here that really helps stabilizing the token launch phase and gives more than a fair reward to the early miners, those who have taken the risk. So concept is being worked out, or say the concept has been worked out. We're now finalizing the communication because it's not necessarily a super easy explanation, but it's a very logical one, and it's one that perfectly fits to Web3 with the typical halving or release schedules.
Yeah.
So we're working on that. What we also do is we are in the ramp-up phase for a community raise. We will offer tokens at a favorable rate with only minimal locking and terms, so very little strings attached. We are in a warm-up phase with a Whitepaper, one of the Launchpads. We'll have more options coming up in the coming weeks, so stay tuned. Follow us on the various socials and join us. Many of you will be miners, so you're already a stakeholder, but you have now a second way of getting involved. Or your friends that may not have a nice rooftop, they can also get involved and activate your friends. This is the chance now.
Yeah, I would say so too. If you haven't checked it out yet, as you mentioned as well, like a lot of people listening in or tuning in will probably be already miners, right? Nonetheless, check out Whitepaper, and if you're interested, commit to it, right? Because eventually this is going to be the best kind of chance pre-TGE to secure your token package, right? Now, feel free to ask questions. As said, I haven't seen too much. Yeah.
I think there is one question which we could address right away because it fits the topic. Nick asked about a Bono token chart and whether this was the actual Bono token or something else. I don't know the specific post that you mentioned, but there indeed, the Bono token, like the point that we've been issuing for the last 2 years or so on Solana, that's the ones that Tommy talked about that we're going to convert. Yeah. And they're being traded, so there's trading pairs to, I think, USDT and to Sol. And that's also an option to go there. However, mind you, there is hardly any liquidity behind that. So I think it's hundreds of dollars or something. So the high
$400,
and it's not the price as such that you see there is not representative at all.
Yeah,
you can easily manipulate that.
Yeah, I'd say so as well.
there is a second option for converting your bonus into data credits. So if you happen to be a person that is interested at a service from onocoy, then that's also a way of using your bonus. I think I mentioned that before. So either of the two is a good way out. But yes, Bono will get now a value indirect by you turning them into either data credits or into Ono tokens.
Yes, yeah, I think so as well. Maybe we can touch a little bit now into the white paper and the tokenomics. So we had some minor changes in the structure and the logic, and also on the tokenomics. I think, yeah, maybe Tommy, you can give a brief wrap up, but also mind you, we recorded already video sessions with the authors of the white paper and with Tommy as well, and we will gradually share basically recorded video sessions where we really explain the white paper and tokenomics in more detail. We will share a light paper version as well of that, so yeah, all the information will be made available in a way that is as understandable and concise as possible while not leaving out anything. So yeah, but maybe Tommy, you can already give a brief glimpse.
Yes, so the original concept was a burn and mint token, where the data users were forced to buy Ono tokens and then go to a crypto exchange and, well, basically buy USDC, go to a DEX, convert them into Ono, and then go through an oracle to convert them into data credits. Now, the lawyers clearly explained that this will qualify as a payment token, which, according to Swiss regulation, forces us to do AML services for everybody. No. Which is not possible on a DEX, so we had to change it. So what we did is we kept the logic of it, but adjusted it to the formalities. So what happens now is we sell these data credits against fiat, which is anyway what the Web2 GPS users want. They were not familiar with tokens, so in that sense, it's actually a simplification, and the user acceptance is high. And then they can burn these data credits against using the service. So that part has not changed. What also has not changed is that we use the Ono to reward our miners. Miners can then go to an exchange, to a DEX, where the Ono is listed, and sell their tokens against USDC and convert them into fiat, whatever they want. Yeah. What we, as the association, have to do is, after having paid for the operating expenses, we can, and in brackets obviously will, use the funds to buy back tokens. Formally, I think people don't like that term so much. It's a buyback and burn model, which is quite known. Yes, for formal reasons, we have to avoid that term, but that's essentially what it is. Yeah. Now, the important thing is, and we have also looked at this scientifically, the fundamental mechanism is identical as before. It's just a different way of doing it. So the deflationary effect is still there. It's just a different way of dealing with it. And that's, so formally, yeah, it's a different formal aspect, but technically and crypto economically, it's identical. So that's the one thing which we describe in a nice chart. Generally speaking, I think that's good because it more matches the Web2 side, which is where the money inflow comes from. What we also had to do is we had to pull in the governance feature. So there is a minimal governance feature, on-chain governance feature implemented from token launch onwards, which is also described. We do have ideas and concept of a more sophisticated, better version but this is then a roadmap topic that follows up. So these are the two only changes to the tokenomics. For basic, from a crypto economic perspective, it's a different name, but fundamentally the economics work similar or identical. And we have stringently looked at that. And Mark Bollandis, the guy that stood behind everything from the beginning, he explains that in the video that's launched soon.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, then we have, I think, two questions that are probably closely related to that. So one is, and I'm showing it here, will there be some kind of mechanism to protect early adopters? And I think you already kind of touched upon it, but yeah, maybe you can revisit that a little bit.
Well, if we talk about the early adopters with the Bono, that's definitely the case, thanks to this pool, which is frozen and set aside, and that goes only to the early adopters. So the faster, the better. There is, going forward, once we're past a TGE, we have created a tool that fosters a good network rollout. And there is not a formal way of protecting the first mover. We may do this in future feature updates, but more in an indirect way. But we have created the tools that people really see where it's worthwhile to put new miners. So this is an addition. It's a visualization tool that prevents people from investing into areas where it just doesn't make sense to deploy miners. But bear in mind, it often makes sense to deploy miners because we accept up to triple redundancy. And this is what you see in the opportunity map, which I believe showed the last time. It's available on our website /Explorer. So that's also a protection. But there is not a formal protection, and there's a good reason for it. Because let's assume somebody brings a substandard miner with a very low quality in. It does not make sense to protect that miner from being replaced by a high end. But if you bring a good station, which is all the ones from our 6 hardware partners, then there is no incentive for people going into in a well-covered area. So it's an indirect way, but it's more an economical way, the way we do it.
Yeah, got it. Then there was another question, which I would probably also want to bring up right now. Would I ever need to use the onocoy GNSS system as an individual, or is this only for commercial partners?
I think I can take this one. We talk a little bit about the commercial progress. Should I go into that?
Right? Yes, then let's do that. And then we basically answer that question directly kind of within or after it. Yeah, perfect.
No, it's a good question because it's a good opener for where we stand on the commercial side.
Yeah.
So, well, would I ever need to use the onocoy GNSS system? Yes, if you need high precision GPS in some application that you have. So if you have a tractor which needs auto steering, or if you have a drone, say a DJI drone with an RTK service, then yes, you can make use of the onocoy system, actually already since about a year or so. And this is and that's now sort of the link to the commercial side. So what we've done back in August last year was that we made the service a paid for service already available for individual end users. So people who do have those, say an auto steering tractor because they have a farm that they serve, or because they have a drone, or they have some other application where they need high precision GPS and they have the device and they are looking for an alternative to established high cost subscription services that are available.
Yeah.
Now, that part of the business, that is a relatively small and more a B2C style business. So it's individual end users, but there's some of them, but that was the early tests that we did. What has now changed, and I think in a very good way, was our progress in the second quarter. So specifically since April, we have a different class of customers in the system. So what you, Nicholas, said, the commercial partners, we've onboarded a number of them, and they're sourcing now data from the system in bulk. And typically what they're doing is they have an existing network, say in some region, with their own stations, private stations that they use, and they're extending the reach of their network by taking in stations from onocoy. And that is an attractive proposition to them because they can check where do we have stations and expand into those regions where otherwise they'd have to do that job themselves and install a network. And where in the first quarter of this year we had hardly any revenues from those people, now in the second quarter this has really taken off. We are believing that the total of Q2 will take us north of 6-digit numbers in terms of dollar revenues, which then in turn go into that mechanism that Tommy mentioned, where we then will be using those funds in order to buy back and burn the token.
Yeah.
So there we are really happy with how this has come from essentially a few thousands a month up to significant numbers. But more importantly is that the trajectory shows quite an exponential curve. So it's not such that this is now a one-off. That makes us really confident that this starts to accelerate as we move forward. So also towards Q3, we believe we will be able to have a factor over the revenues that we've done in Q2, or that we will be having in Q2. Q2 is still short by a month. But we see a lot of good signs on the market from that traditional existing industry, primarily those people who like to expand their business. Another important point is these are handful of companies. So that's like 10, 20 companies which could use such services. We talk to most of them because from our previous experience in that industry, we know probably every larger operator of such services. But the important part here is they're giving us clear indications on where they like to see more stations and more growth. And using those inputs also to what we internally call the high value area concepts. And I think this is also something that we talk about in a bit. I think you, Dominic, wanted to share some words on what we do in Southeast Asia and elsewhere. So those inputs that we get, so there is real demand out there across the globe, but we also get very clear indications where they see higher needs in certain regions versus other regions. And we start now exploring that and go into that direction.
That's probably the perfect transition to my parts of talking during this session, which is, well, we call it the Southeast Asia campaign. It's actually a variety of different countries. So as Daniel said, and this is basically also the reason behind why we are doing this campaign, there is real demand in certain areas, and this demand is coming from paying clients. So this is not something that we came up with on a drawing board and said, we throw a dart at a world map and say, oh, let's push these countries, right? But actually, it's real demand that's in certain areas. So this is a campaign, and we're talking about the Southeast Asia campaign, which is targeted to certain countries, and they are very specifically set. It's South Korea, it's Japan, it's Malaysia, Taiwan, Singapore, and Thailand. And basically, in those areas, we have a specific need to increase the amount of stations. And we basically calculated it and we said, okay, to really cover these areas in a sufficient way, we would need to ideally onboard around 500 new stations in those areas, right? Obviously broken down a bit more into the countries, but that's kind of the rough number. So we sat down and we're like, okay, how can we basically push that? So we came up with a campaign. The campaign is already live. And basically what it does is that between June 1st, so 3 days ago, and September 30th, we are rewarding the first 500 stations that are being added to these regions with a 5x reward multiplier, right? So you don't earn the normal amount of tokens that you would earn, but you automatically, when you are in these regions and you set up a station and you run it, you get a 5x reward multiplier. Now, this is kind of timely, right? So the earlier we go to those numbers, the better, of course, right? So basically, we created it in a way where we have a total pool of 1 million Bono tokens that will be awarded to this campaign. And yeah, the earlier you participate, the more you can basically earn from these additional revenues. So we will come up also with more specific hardware partners, but also take a look at the website already now, because you can see on the onocoy website, if you go to our partners section, you will see, if you take a closer look at the partners, that already a lot of them do have quite significant discounts already right now. So I would say it's a very good time to, get started and build a station, not only if you are in Southeast Asia, but specifically if you are in these target countries, but also generally. Yeah, so that's the idea behind it. We will be communicating more in the coming weeks and months about that, of course, and also share the progress, right? But that's the kind of rough overview on that part. Daniel, Thomas, anything to add to that?
Yes.
I forgot.
I have a comment or two comments.
Yeah.
The first one is it's actually really taking off. So we have nearly doubled already the number of stations. So we have added 85 stations already. So that's very good progress and very helpful. There was a question on how do we actually distribute these extra rewards. And I think the common expectation was that immediately it would be the reward level would go up by a factor of 5. Right. Now, for technical reasons, we have chosen a slightly different implementation. We leave the base rewards trickling in on a daily basis, and we do 2 airdrops of tokens. The first airdrop is a Bono airdrop at TGE, which we need to do at or briefly after TGE because we're phasing out the old Bono rewarding. So the 1x comes immediately. The 4x Bono comes at TGE in form of an airdrop. And then we do a second airdrop of the 4x in Ono at the beginning of October. So we're not debriefing the miners of this. It's just for technical reason, it's not immediately shown. But how can you find out whether you're eligible if you signed up for it? And here I'd like to share a screenshot quickly, which the technical team has provided to me. So if you're operating a station in these regions, like this screenshot from a Japanese stations, then we flag it in these areas. I'm not sure if you can see my mouse, but you see the sun there next to the mount point. You see the sun on the top. Follow the green arrow. Can you?
There we go. Yeah.
How you see my mouse?
Yeah.
So here, if you're seeing this flag, or you're seeing it here in the overview tab, or you're seeing this here, then your station is eligible to this and will get the airdrop. So that's how we visualize, or that's the feedback loop for you to know that you're on this rewarding scheme. And then again, at TGE, you get the first airdrop, and at the beginning of October, you get the second airdrop of the additional rewards.
I think one point to make clear is it's early days, so we are now doing that in those 6 regions that Dominic mentioned. We will be continuing with country-specific, also region-specific high-value areas, and then we will also have a full automation in the platform. It's just today it was not yet possible to have it fully automated and make it immediately visible. So that method of airdropping, that's a temporary means for the time being.
Yeah.
We have a long list of additional countries. So also in Europe and in other parts of the world, where we'd like to foster and to stimulate further station growth. We have a priority list at this point in time, and we cannot do everything at once, especially not when it's not fully automated, but working on it, work in progress. Also talking of tools, the opportunity map that we introduced, I think a month ago, this will also start to show those areas at some point in time. That's also work in progress, so then you will also see where is that, where that is. There's a question just coming in if there's a low value area of places. No, there is not. So there is the base rewards as we've issued them, they are the same all over the place, and we do specific multipliers and boosts in regions where it makes tactically sense from a business perspective. But no, we don't say we don't want a miner there at this point.
But it's maybe there is, as part of the base rewarding, the location scale would be reduced in overpopulated areas. And this we visualize, and maybe I can also show you this here. On our Explorer here, by standard, we show you the coverage map. Choose the opportunity map, and everything in white is super attractive. But if you go in areas black or here, you would receive a lower reward. So indirectly, this is a lower value area. The reason is that here we already have this triple redundancy. And that's how we visualize and guide people. Making the example of Düsseldorf, if you put a station into Düsseldorf, then you're probably not going to earn a lot. Yeah. Move it by 30 kilometers away here, you're at maximum reward. So it's not on a country level. We specifically tell you whether this is relevant for your location or not. And maybe related could also be the question from Jill.
Yeah, I can take that one. It doesn't necessarily fit currently, but I can take this one. So we have no inputs on what kind of equipment you actually have and how good that is. But what we do is, as part of the measurement quality, so the quality scale that we measure and also visualize in the platform, we look at the measurements and how good are they. Now, we cannot detect whether it's a choke ring antenna or a survey grade antenna and how much this has cost. We purely look at the quality of the data as it comes in. And if the choke ring antenna is not going to give you a 10x reward over a standard antenna, or in other words, it probably doesn't make much sense to connect the choke ring antenna because you're not going to get a factor on the rewarding. What we do measure, and in a updated version of the white paper that's still imminent, we also detail out what exactly we measure. You will see the parameters that we do, and we started already visualizing some of those parameters in a rollout that we did on the production system yesterday, where you now can, and I'm not prepared to screenshot, but if you go to your station, in that drop-down where there's a graph, you have new values that you can look at. One is the sky visibility percentage, which goes into the rewarding. And the other one is the cycle slip rate and how exactly they are being calculated together and go into the overall signal quality. That is going to be laid out in the update to the white paper, but there you already see an indication of the actual measurements. I would assume a choke ring antenna as such will likely result in lower cycle slip rates, but it's not going to be day and night. It's going to be slightly better, so you'll have better statistics, but it's not going to add massive amounts of additional reports. No. There's two more measurements which will visualize in the platform and which also will be documented, which is code and carrier phase RMS values that we measure. as well as some additional speed measurements that we do on the platforms. And we're going to talk about that in probably one of the next AMAs.
Yes. Now I'm not sure, but I lost Tommy. At least I can't see him anymore. Is it the same for you, Daniel?
Yes, I see a black.
Yeah, okay, me too. Okay, then it's not only for us. Tommy, you're black now completely. So just so you know. Then let me transition over to the next topic, which is the new website. And actually, I have pretty good news because I think the new website went live literally just, I don't know, like an hour or two ago or something. So if you go actually on onocoy.com, and I can share it real quick here. Right, you can see it here. So onocoy.com, and you will see a completely new revamped website. So we basically had the old website up and running for quite some time now, and we felt for a longer time that we needed to update it. So we basically started an internal project on revamping the whole website. And now actually this went live. I was thinking that I would just tease it, but wait, now Tommy is coming back here. Let me add him really quick. There we go. So yeah, the new website is live. You can check it out yourself. It's easier structured now. So you see the services, you see how you can become a miner, how you can the different hardwares, the different partners, the opportunity map, and also we have a specific section about the Ono token, right? Which we will obviously adjust more and more with upcoming news when they come. You have the direct link to read the docs in here. So it's just overall a much cleaner and much more modern experience. So if you haven't seen that yet, which probably is the case because it just got released, check it out here. You can find a lot of information on onocoy and what's going on here. Also some milestones, roadmap, links, everything is in there. So have fun with the new website and give us some feedback about that, of course. Now, wait a second. With that being said, I would just check real quick. There's no new questions that came in. So basically, we have some events that we are going to participate in, or different team members better, right? So if you've joined already some of the spaces before, you might have already heard us, talking about different events that we participate in, not only Web3 events, but also traditional GNSS related events. So last year, big was InterGeo, I think it was in Germany, if I'm not completely wrong. And right now, actually, there's also quite a few events, this time actually a bit more on the focus of Deepin and Web3 in general. So if you are in Vietnam, there is an event, I think it's starting tomorrow actually, in Da Nang in Vietnam, if I'm not completely wrong. So yeah, in case you're in Vietnam and you're close to Da Nang, make sure to check on our Twitter because we shared about it, and there you find all the links, and feel free to join. Onocoy will be represented by Sam, who is currently in Vietnam and will join this event. Then, if you are in Pisa on the 6th of June, you can visit Uroš, who is actually going to be at the IEEE Deepin workshop as a speaker. So yeah, 6th of June is in Pisa. Then Uroš seems to be a traveling person because Uroš is going to be in Budapest on the 21st of June. So there is another event. It's a Solana event, if I'm not completely wrong. Apex Budapest. That's what the event is called. 21st of June. Now, next week, Daniel will maybe be in Paris. I think it's not yet sure, right? At Proof of Talk. So in case you're in Paris next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Proof of Talk is going to be a really nice event where we will be present. Then there is another event also, I think on the 10th of June next week in Zurich in Switzerland, where Onocoy will also attend. I think it's Trust Square, right, Daniel?
Correct. Yes, it's a Deepin specific event at the Trust Square co-working space.
Yeah, exactly. So Zurich and Paris next week. And Daniel, you texted me something about another event that's not related to Web3 where you're going to be joining, right?
Yes, that's right. That's also next week. I think Thursday morning there is by the USPO, which is the European Union agency which promotes the Galileo constellation. We have a speaking opportunity where we talk about the onocoy project. And there it's quite the other way around. There we need to explain why blockchain and why does it make sense, because that's all satellite navigation nerds. And they are interested in what we do. It's organized by European Union, so by an agency from there. And I'll be talking about essentially what we do and why this is a really interesting opportunity also for the whole industry. So it's more addressing the Web 2 side of things.
Yeah, right. So to summarize, Vietnam, Italy, Pisa, Budapest, Hungary, Paris, France, and where is the event that you're going to? Zurich as well, Switzerland, and the event that you're going to is also in Zurich?
That's a virtual event. So yes, I'll be in Zurich, but it's an online event, 9 o'clock Central European time. So maybe attractive for Asian attendees, not so much for the US, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
And last week there was New York, right?
There was New York?
Yeah, indeed. Last week.
Sam and Nathan were in New York,
Yes.
That was a Solana event as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Solana Accelerate. Yes, exactly. That was also there. Yeah.
And there is another event. I think you didn't mention Seoul, Korea.
No, actually I didn't. No.
Also next week. So Sam is going to go to Seoul. So we have a reception at the Swiss embassy where we're talking to the local GNSS industry. So if you're in Seoul, Korea, and you'd like to attend, then shout out to us, and we'll share the details with you. I'm not mistaken, this is on the 11th. So quite a busy week next week.
I was about to say quite some busy times. Yeah, obviously, we know that TGE is a big event. We're all focused on that, right? And this is the main working area right now. So stay tuned for more details. We started really with the communications. Much more will come. If you're interested in that, check out the Whitepaper site and commit to it, right? And if you are in one of the countries in our Southeast Asia campaign, make sure to get one of the miners. Tommy was saying it earlier, the spots are filling up pretty quickly. So yeah, don't waste that opportunity, but get a miner and start becoming a contributor. And I don't have any open questions in my list here.
Actually, there was one. There was, when you mentioned Workpad, I think that was misheard. There was a question, where do we find Workpad? It's like called Workpad.
Yeah, Borgpad. Yeah. So if you are looking for that, actually, that's a good point. I didn't understand Workpad. I don't know who asked that. I don't see it.
That was Nicholas.
Okay. Yeah. So you basically find it on our Twitter and on our LinkedIn and on our Discord and on our Telegram. Everywhere, basically, we started communicating about that. Yeah, that's basically where you can find it all.
And there is just a new question from Dylan Lee. The pre-notification period for the campaign was short, I do admit, but as you see, we're far from booked out. We have about 200 out of the 500, so there is still a lot of opportunity. And so far, I mean, the campaign runs for 120 days. And so far, 3.5 days have passed, so not much. So there's still a lot there. Now, should, against my expectation, the 500 slot not fill until the end, then it is conceivable that we extend it. That's correct, because we need this station because we have customers for them. But it will have to take this as we go, depending on how it develops. But even 500 stations for 6 countries, I can guarantee this will not cover these 6 countries completely. No. So there will be sweet spots here and there with our high-value area tool, the automated tool later on. So there will be opportunities.
Yeah. Right. I think opportunities is a very good last kind of word. There will be opportunities, and we are trying to make the best out of that. Opportunities for you, opportunities for us, and hopefully a decentralized GNSS future in the way that onocoy imagines it, and you guys can participate. with that, I would like to end today's session. We had roughly 50 minutes, I think. Quite happy. I think all questions were answered. Danny, Tommy, thank you very, very much for being here and for sharing your insights and your knowledge and your time with us. And looking forward to many more of those spaces.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.